Hey guys, I am Talk Custom, and on today's video we are going to teach you how to use a sewing machine. So if you've never sewn anything in your life, stick around and I'm going to teach you how to use this machine right now. Okay, so for this beginner's level tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to sew using the Singer Tradition, which I got at Joann for about $90. I think you can get them even cheaper now. This is a very basic machine, but this is what I learned on, so I'm going to walk you through how to set this up and start sewing. The first thing you need to do after you unbox this is plug in your power and foot pedal. So on the right side of the machine is a socket where you're going to plug this in and then just plug in power and set your foot pedal down below your desk. So once you have your machine plugged in, you just flip the switch on the right here and then the light bulb should turn on. The first thing I need to teach you how to do is wind a bobbin. So every sewing machine has thread on the bottom and thread on top, and when they interweave between each other, that is how you sew two pieces of fabric together. So the first thing we're going to do is that. Now this is an older machine, so this actually has a bobbin case, so I will explain this, and right now I'm going to teach you how to wind a bobbin. So I've got some black thread here, I have my thread stopper, and I have an empty bobbin. This is what you need to start sewing. So the first thing we have to do is to put our thread on this thread bar here, and then we're going to hold it in place with the thread stopper. Then you're going to take your thread and run it through this little metal loop here, and then I'm going to wrap it tightly between the screw and this washer here. And it's going to give it a little bit of tension so I can pull it tight. Then I'm going to take the end of this thread and I'm going to put it between the top and the bottom of this bobbin and push it out through the top hole in this bobbin, okay? So now it looks like that, and I'm going to run this all the way over here to the clutch, I believe it's called. Okay, so now I have my thread going from the spool all the way around here to here. Now, what you want to do when you get it here is take the clutch and snap it over to the right. And then using the foot pedal, you can very slowly start winding. Okay. Now, after it goes around a few times, I like to trim off the top so that I don't have to hold it anymore. Now, I'm just going to run this until the bobbin is full. And there's a little stopper here on the right side. So when it's full, it will stop. Okay, once your bobbin is full, you can trim the thread and then snap this to the left and then just pick it up. Okay, so to set our bobbin in place, we have to slide out the canister, and then this little door opens up, and there's a little bobbin casing here. Okay, so we have to set the bobbin in here so that it will pick up the thread. Okay, so to set this bobbin in this type of thread casing, we're going to make sure that the thread is coming off clockwise. We're going to put it right into the casing, okay? All right, now there's a little groove at the top, so we want to take the thread and pull it so it goes in that groove, and then we're going to pull it up, okay, and it will eventually snap into place right there. So that's what's going to give this some resistance so that when the machine pulls it, you've got the proper tension, okay? All right, now that we have our bobbin wound, what you want to do is grab this and open the lever on the casing. Make sure this little bar is upright. We're going to put it into the machine, and when we let go, that will snap into place. So now we can close the door and put our canister back, and the bobbin is done. All right, the next thing we need to do is wind the top thread. So pull this out from what we had earlier. And on this machine, what we're going to do is we're going to slide this between that metal bar like we did before. Now, instead of going through the screw, we're going to go behind this white bar right here. And then this wants us to bring the thread down. So let me move the camera. We're going to pull the thread down, right? And then we're going to loop it around. We're going to come back up. And there's a little metal hook right here that you can see at the top. And we're going to go up and around that and then back down. Okay? So we go down, around, up, and over the metal thing, and then back down, okay? Okay, so when we get to the bottom, we're going to get to our needle. Now, you want to make sure your needle is all the way up, okay? And what we're going to do is, if you hold your thread sideways, there's a little bar right where my fingernail is there, okay? So you need to get the thread so that it goes behind that bar, okay? And that stabilizes the thread so that when we put it through the needle, it won't fall out of place, okay? Now, you can either just put the end of the thread through the eye of this needle right here, or you can use the automatic threader. Okay, to use the automatic threader on this machine, it took me a second to remember this because it is not modern. But you put it through the little V on this metal thing, and you're going to bring it down. And then after that, you have to pull the thread over and put it between these little metal things from the bottom and hold it up. Then when you let go, it's going to pull the thread out of the back of the eye of the needle and make a little loop. And then you take the loop and pull it, and that pulls the thread through. The newer automatic threaders are much smarter than this, but this does technically work. So the top thread is threaded. So in the back here, there is a little lever that raises and lowers the presser foot. We want to keep it up, and we're going to push our thread through the presser foot, and then we're going to bring the foot down. Now on the right side of the machine is the big wheel, and we're going to turn it towards ourselves. Always turn the wheel towards yourself. And I am going to do one full rotation where I'm going to put this down and pull it up. And I'm going to slightly pull on the thread that we just threaded through the top there. Now, after we do that, there should be a loop on the bottom, which there is right here. So I want to take my scissors and just drag it underneath. Nope. What that's going to do is bring the bobbin thread up to the top. So now we have our bobbin thread and our top thread. This is exactly what we want to see. Now we are absolutely ready to start sewing. I just wanted to do a little test. So I've got two pieces of, little science fabric here. And what I'm going to do is put these right sides together, because in most cases in sewing you want right sides together. So you should see the wrong side of the fabric on both sides. You want to line up your fabric, and there's these little notches on the right side. There's these little lines on the plate here. And I'm going to line these up on the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. We will talk about seam allowances in a future video. But what I want to do is just show you a very basic stitch. So this might be your first stitch ever. But I'm going to put the needle down through the fabric using my hand wheel. Now on this machine there's a little reverse lever. Some machines have a button, but this one's a lever. So if I want to stitch backwards, I have to hold this down. So almost every time I do a stitch or a seam, I will do a back stitch that goes off the fabric, and then I will do a front stitch. And what that does is locks up that seam so it doesn't fall apart. It makes it a lot stronger. I'm going to show you a close-up of that back stitch. So I would start my stitch and go a few, and then I'm going to go backwards and go off the edge of the fabric, and then I'm going to let it go and let it come back forward. Now, all I want to do is run this machine and make sure this edge is right on that notch on the plate, and I'm just going to run this all the way across. And then when I get to the other end, I'm going to do another back stitch. So I'm going to run off the end of the fabric, go backwards, and then go forwards. Okay. Now, I want my needle to be up, and I'm going to bring the presser foot up. And as I pull this off, I'm going to trim my threads. So we just did our first seam. Let's see how this looks. All right, here's our first seam, and when we open these up, we're gonna see two pieces of fabric that are now sewn together. Now the seam is 5/8 of an inch, so there's lots of different things we can do with that, and I'll talk about that in other tutorials like serging and top stitching. All right, now that we got through our first stitch, I just want to show off some other features of this particular machine. Our hand wheel is on the right. Always make sure you turn it towards yourself, and that's going to make the needle go up and down. Helps you get some control. This dial here controls the stitch length, so how long each stitch is, and this is our stitch patterns. So there's all kinds of different ones. This is just a straight stitch, but there's, you know, zigzag, and you can go through all the other ones. If you want to switch to the blue one, like this one has a triple wide straight stitch. On the length one, there's a little blue S, and that will correspond with the blue stitches on the bottom wheel. Otherwise, I like to keep my stitch length at about 2.5. Over here on the top left is the tension wheel. I like to keep it between 4 and 5 as automatic tension. And the width controls where the needle rests. So if I bring my needle up and I move this dial, it's going to move the needle a little bit to the right or left. That's about it for this machine. This is a very, very simple machine. Again, it is really cheap, and going back to this, I realize how sophisticated my other machines are. But I wanted to start with the cheapest, most simple tutorial video that I could. So this machine can get you sewing. It can be kind of challenging with a cheap machine, but it does work. All right, so that about wraps up just the beginner level tutorial. On the next few videos, I will show you how to change needles and different bobbins and some other techniques on getting the results that you're looking for. I'm also going to do another beginner's level tutorial using this is the Brother SE400. I absolutely love this machine. This is the machine I use every day now, and it does both sewing and embroidery. So if you're new to sewing and embroidery, check out that video when we do this one. All right, you guys, that is it for this quick tutorial video. We took two pieces of fabric and sewed them together. That's pretty basic, but if you got to this point, you now have a machine where you can make all kinds of amazing things, and we're going to talk a lot about those kind of projects in the next few videos. But thank you so much for watching. I'm kind of revamping my whole YouTube channel with some new tutorial videos and some other projects. So if there's anything you'd like to see, or if you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help me continue to make some new content for you guys. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.